No.
We are saying action.
So my film is going to be called A Game of Chance. That's it. That's funny. The genres I've chosen are, for my film, I've chosen a combination of thriller, spy and film noir. This will create tension and atmosphere and keep an audience in suspense to find out who the actual true villain is. However, the 1950s black and white element, which is film noir, adds a glamour to the film, and instead of colour it will add a new element suggesting an old-fashioned element, and I'm planning to revive it, an old-fashioned type element. These are some images of film noir and the type of genres I'm going to be exploring. The history of spy, which will be my main focus. The spy genre is a subgenre of both thriller and action. The genre derives from rivalries between Eastern and Western powers, predominantly in the Cold War. The very early examples we see of spy genre are in 1821 from the film The Spy and Bravo in 1831. These films were a foundation for new literature and spy novels to be developed and were often used as propaganda to spark each other against each other. Throughout the First World War, spy literature was used as a key component for propaganda. The propaganda used to show the clash between the two main powers and suggested by Strauss's theory of binary oppositions. In this case, it would be Russia versus America. The Cold War was also dominating the increase of spy films, with many names emerging from the darkness, such as John le Carré and Ian Fleming were large influences in literature and the increase in ideas of spy films and different things. There's more images of the types of things I'll be looking at throughout the process. So the films that have inspired me are films such as Casino Royale, Skyfall, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, The Ipcress Files, GoldenEye and Sherlock Holmes. Casino Royale has inspired me mainly because the opening scene, which we shall be looking at, looks at the noir aspect of the film for its opening sequence. The black and white allowed a distortion of the villain, although it can be argued that throughout the film either the villain, a true villain, or Bond could be presented as the villain through his travels as a 00 agent. Skyfall, although it's modern, Sam Mendes, the director, provides 007 with a raw emotion that I don't think any other Bond film shows. Although my character is from the 50s, late 50s, I want to provide her with a passion for her job but keep her emotional side intact. Whereas the other films, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy and The Ipcress Files, provide me with old-fashioned spy film examples where their mission is merely to kill or be killed, like it was back then. Could you click on?
Em really doesn't mind you earning a little money on the side, right? She'd just prefer it if it wasn't selling secrets.
Thank you. So that's just a small example of one of my many inspirations. So, a short synopsis of the plot of my film. It will be London 1959, the heart of espionage, where loyalty is a weapon that people pay a high price for. Maya Barishev, a lifelong servant of the KGB, double-crosses at the risk of losing everything. Her colleague, Aidan Dewhurst, a typical British gentleman, collaborates with Barishev to reveal a corrupt and deadly force. Can Barishev stop the trail of deceit, or is there more to it that meets the eye? So, how does the film follow or change narrative conventions? My film follows the narrative theory of Todorov. My film, however, doesn't completely follow this theory. Instead of beginning with the equilibrium, it begins with a disruption being created through the tense atmosphere of trading secrets, in which Maya will gain a new equilibrium and lesson that will be held. The lesson that she learns will be held and very key to her. The theory of plot is also relevant to my film because I have two archetypal characters. Maya is the hero, although some may argue that she is in fact an enemy, and Aidan is my archetypal villain, selling secrets to the opposition, which we will be seeing in the opening sequence. Levi Strauss's theory of revolution of two binary opposites. However, a good resolution isn't created for the two characters. My character profiles. The female protagonist, as I mentioned, is a lady called Maya Barishev, and she's 21 from Moscow, Russia. She has been working up the career ladder of the KGB, which is the Russian secret organisation, for all her life. She is tall, beautiful and blonde, and is consistent in her job for the KGB and has a reputation for one thing, gaining everyone's deadly secrets. She uses her wit, intellect and seducing powers and a concealed gun. Her key to survival is to keep her friends close, but her enemies even closer. The male protagonist is Aidan Dewhurst. He's 22 and he's wide built. He's quite dapper, however, holds the values of a traditional British gentleman. From Paddington, London, he's a lifelong friend of Maya and colleague. He is also working for the KGB. However, Aidan is betraying what his partner feels is key, which is trust. Aidan is merely an undercover agent for the MI6, working for the Russians, but selling the secrets to the British agents. He has one mission, which is to infiltrate the Russians from within, gain access to the blueprints to their nuclear weapons and take out the KGB's most important agent, which is Maya. How does it challenge conventions? The film challenges the normal spy conventions because instead of the main protagonist being a male spy working for the British, the protagonist is in fact a tall, slender and very intelligent woman who has been working for the Russian agency, the KGB. Normally throughout spy films, audiences are rooting for Western power, which would be Britain or America. However, throughout the film we root for an Eastern power through Maya because she's working for the Russians. How are they typical of the genre? Maya, although very different, also is a very archetypal character. She is pushed by nationalism and to uphold the country's pride, which is often seen in many different spy films such as Bond. She uses her seductive powers to gain secrets necessary to complete her mission, which we see present in many female characters in the spy genre. Aidan is also typical of the genre because he is a typical gentleman that we see in the spy genre, a suit, tie, and composes himself when necessary. He also has an element of cheekiness and wit to captivate people into giving him the secrets he requires. How do they change conventions, however? Maya changes the conventions because instead of the main spy being the male that saves the day, it's a strong-minded woman. Women in spy films are often seen as very submissive to the male character and often manipulate the male character in Spy's mind. However, Myra is normally a character that uses her charm and demeanour to gain what she wants, and breaks the convention by being one of very few women in her league of the KGB. Aidan breaks the convention because he is in fact the villain. Normally we see villains being from the Eastern European side, with the corrupt Stalin spreading influence of communism in the Cold War. However, Aidan is spying for the British to build their nuclear arsenal with a nuclear war looming over the heads of Western powers. They need the arsenal to deter others. Thanks for watching.